one of the things it screens for. In fact, I had this guy, fellow I work with, Jason, and he'll watch this and he'll love the fact that I mentioned his name. And he had carotid artery blockage, you know, they do sonograms, you have to. And he started working with us, and he had, I think, 2 millimeter on one side, 3 on the other, and they started to go away, and the doctors were freaking out. What's going on? It's going away. We've never seen that before. He goes, well, I'm just doing different vitamins. Oh, yeah, right, sure, whatever. They did the test a couple times. They couldn't believe it. That never happens. It should just get worse, right? It shouldn't if you fix the real, cause. It'll reverse. You'll lose the calcium from where it's built up. You'll eliminate the heavy metals. You'll get vitamin B6 and B1 and iodine and tyrosine to kick up your thyroid, get that thyroid up, and kick up your adrenal glands. Get them working again. Remember, nutrients, cell regulators, like hormones, and toxins determine your wellness destiny. You get those ironed out, and we're just doing the biggest broad stroke we can from this test. I don't want to ever have to say to Dan, you know what, this thing is not working good enough, I got to do this other test to really get you there. I don't want to say that. I want this to be, the only thing you have to do.
But you have. I think I've heard you say that you've done tests on people where everything you're doing should have worked, but it didn't, and you did some other tests and found out
Figured out
they
exactly
had
what happened.
maybe I don't know, a worm or a virus or something in their body.
I get people with all these worms, oh, it's terrible. And we can tell, all of a sudden we keep on getting these patterns off of this test that says something's going on in the digestive system. It's not getting the results you should, and we say, okay, well, we need to do this or that or the other thing. We can still do that, so we're not going to leave you in a lurch, or if we can't, we'll find something we can. So the idea is to get better, right? Okay, I'm sorry.
I just had a question. So with this kind of with this setup, how often do people get to still communicate with you with this, or is it like a lot of scientist
I do
kind of
counsel, by
things?
the way, everybody that does this here, I talk to directly. So we just do everything over the phone, through the internet, text you, whatever it is. But you get a report through the internet, and you read the report, and then you call me up, and I make sure you get everything straight. Okay, I do that just one by one. I've been doing it since 2001. We went into the internet. Before that, in the offices. So I've been able to do, I've had weeks where I worked a lot.
And how often do you do the hair test? Once every 3 months, 6 months?
Yeah, usually the average is 3 to 4, and then it expands if you really get balanced out at 6, maybe a year. Or, yeah, it shouldn't be as much, so that's expensive. Yes.
So after we have this initial test and then a retest, after all that, after things start, we get a specially modified vitamin set
Right, they make it for you.
and nutritional diet recommendations.
Right in the
Any kind of
report.
exercise?
And it changes as you change. Yes. Well, we try to advise certain things for you, so I'll talk to you about that. Because some people say, well, my problem's eating too much sugar, and I try to find ways to get around that, like Jim Neville, Silvestri. There's tricky little things you can do. Other people, they need more exercise. Well, but where do I start? What do I do? I'll try to help them. I'm super jock, whatever, And, obviously used to be a physical education teacher, so, and coach and other things. So, I help you in all realms. This is a lifestyle management program, ultimately. So I'm looking for any weak spots in your life that I can fill in with ideas for you to be better.
Nice.
And things that make sense for you. Do you want to say something?
Thank
You
you
keep
for
on pointing.
coming.
Oh, sorry. Pardon?
Thank you for coming.
Oh, he's trying to get rid of me already. So, at any rate, yeah. I'll tell you about this in a second. But any other questions on the test? Oh, go ahead.
Is some of this covered by insurance?
No, it's all off the books since '94. I shouldn't say this on TV. We found one place that, in one instance, where actually the Affordable Care Act actually helps us, but I can't tell you where that is. And you have to be in hopeless shape for it to actually be done that way. And it's unfortunate because in '94, see, they studied the insurance companies. I know I was a Blue Shield provider, Blue Cross, Traveler, you name it. They wanted this to take over. They loved this stuff that we were doing. They loved the trick. They said, hey, if everybody could do this, we wouldn't, have so many sick people. Good idea. But the Cornell report demonstrated it wasn't going to go. And they beta tested a bunch of people. And only about 10% of them, mostly people we contributed, movie stars are going to do the right thing anyway. Only about 10% of people were above 50% compliance. They said most people are just going to, the doctors don't believe in it, the people are lazy. That's why I said before, lazy patients, right? So it's really something unfortunately that should be part of the system. But you tried to bring me to my next slide. I want to make it part of the system. Lainey and I wrote this book, How to Fix the Broken Healthcare System. It involves expanding the diagnostics in the doctor's office for everybody, but it does it without costing anybody more because it's based on wellness rewards. It's based on when we do your first test, we can start lining up everything that's right for you, from the right toothpaste to the right water she left to, the right foods and vitamins. And we'll be like the Amazon of healthcare in that we can set up for you to get not only discounts, but money back, because we basically are hosting on, we can give you money back to pay your darn insurance off. How's that? So if you're told you need zucchini squash off of our programs, right? And you buy it, you get a discount, and you get money to pay your insurance. If you go out and buy chocolate, sorry, we don't give you any breaks on that. You gotta pay full price to get nothing. So it makes sense, it rewards you for good, correct behavior, not punishes you for bad. And we call Microsoft, and Microsoft said they could manage the whole thing for us. Not a problem. So we're actually working on this. This book hopefully will come out pretty soon. And let's get paid to be well. That's the bottom line. We can pay you to be well, believe it or not. And everybody will make money for being well. And everybody that sells you good stuff will get rewarded. Everything from low emission vehicles, you name it. Everybody wants it. And even the IRS does. They said, hey, we can do a wellness IRA. Why not? So, I'm sorry, did I have another question on this? Okay, so that's coming hopefully pretty soon. Oh, we also have a new division. Lindy's kind of put it together. We have a couple people. Seabiscuit the horse had this test. It's one of the secrets for thoroughbred horse races. In fact, the lab used to sell the test out the back door to thoroughbred horse races. It's quite a story to make them run faster and to get them to rebuild. So we're actually going to start. We have some horses already, and we do dogs. Our dog, Starbuck. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So that's coming. And then I just wanted to say, here's to your health. So, and then, and I want to, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And of course, this is more or less everything is done. We're making you the doctor. We're putting you in charge. The contact information. We can. Anybody that wants to get a test from us, we can set it up. I'll give you a free book autographed at Linda. I got a book for you. And I hope you join our program of wellness management and really become rich inside and in the bank account too. Because I got to tell you, I don't know, just me. I would rather have less money and feel better than the other way around.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's nice to have money. So any more questions before?
I would like to say that, if you sign up and you're trying to get a hold of Greg, he is not hard to get a hold of, and he is absolutely going to talk with you specifically about what's going on. He's been great on the phone with me every time I talk.
Likewise for you for helping us. Yeah, that's the way we are. We're going to be there for you. Because you need a little hand-holding. You've got to kind of open up your mind to what's really going on. Let the truth be your guide, not a bunch of marketing nonsense, a bunch of incompetence. And there's just a lot of deliberate, I'm going to call it meanness. I've got to tell you, there are plenty of people that know better, but they don't tell you the truth because they just want to make a buck off you. And that's one of the reasons I like Dan so much. We're just trying to, what is it, love, truth, beauty, corn, and a little salt, that's the American way. I mean, how many people can get to the truth of the matter? You talk to people and, they want the truth. A test gives you the truth. But just most people don't know that's what all of medicine is based on, is testing. Nutrition is supposed to be the same. It should have been included. We're missing out. And it's one of the most satisfying things Lindy and I have ever done is just getting people's health on track. And the beautiful part is it doesn't matter what kind of shape you're in, what you want to do. It only can help. It makes things better. And with that, any other questions or should I? Is there anybody to talk after me? No other questions? Hit me with any scary thing you want.
You're going to be over here for a while before we run out of here, right? Do you have to leave very quick?
No.
Okay, so, until they come up here and kick us out of the room, if you want to come over here and talk to Greg, you don't feel comfortable asking questions out in the open, he's going to be over here, Linda's going to be over here, we're all going to be here. Eventually we'll head downstairs, but until they come up and say, you got to get out of the room, we're here. Okay.
So, any other questions, or are we there? And I'm over here if you'd like to, yes?
Us as alcohol and drug addicts just going back and the same program, we get out of rehab and they're going back again.
It's amazing, but we're actually getting the labs to study it more closely. But I gotta tell you, one of the things with alcohol and sugar is manganese. Manganese controls the way that your body, in part, with other things, releases energy. And they find that addicts deplete their manganese, particularly alcohol, and opioids, other things too. And when that happens, the body's looking for more energy, so it makes you crave things that stimulate you, mostly, wake your body up. It's looking for a nutrient that it doesn't have, but it looks in the wrong places. So definitely manganese, too much copper, which has an effect on neurotransmitters. It makes people more addictive. There's always some heavy metals, some toxic problems. There's always some digestive issues, but just in general. They've actually tried to get this down to fine science. I looked at addicts. I found 16 nutrients that were affected by most, not just alcohol, but all the recreational drugs, that people take cocaine, all that stuff. They're actually starting to put that together. And the idea is that what we need is people before they're addicts to test to see if they're off. Not just after addicts, because we figured all these imbalances came as a result of being an addict. But we'd like to have befores and afters. So they're finally starting to wake up to this. There's 3,300 rehab centers in this country. Yes, they don't, it doesn't pay up. Yeah. And we're going to hopefully be doing with this other company, we're going to be actually specializing in a program for these addictive centers. So cross your fingers. Let's hope they can pull this off. They love the program. Yeah, we'll try to help them. Yes. We think it's completely preventable.
Habits are a hard thing to break, and I kind of feel like everything in life is a habit. If you could just let go of some things that aren't working and take on habits that do work, you might get to it before it ends up being an addictive habit.
Well, but in this case, you need science to be your guide.
Yeah.
But really, you're being more scientific, even in real estate. I mean, you guys aren't winging it either. You know what you're doing. You've done your research. All we're doing here is doing research on you.
Right.
And letting the lab that's researched the most people put it together for us, because we can't, you know what, just to make your vitamins is 8 pages worth of math. And they push a computer now just to figure out how to make your vitamin mixtures.
Yeah, it seems crazy that it's been this long through our journey before there was actually a map that we could use for our health.
Exactly.
What?
So, the journey for health and wellness and wealth and happiness, it's all part of the same movement. That's where we started with Dan, and they offered themselves as guinea pigs before they offered a guest spot for me to come and talk, because they wanted to make sure that they were recommending eat. They didn't believe Fox either, Greg. They just wanted to find out for themselves, right? They wanted to make sure.
Yeah, and I'll have to attest that, I had an acid reflux cough. I'm trying to get rid of that, and that's why we got down this path. And I started losing a lot of weight once I got on this. And when I looked at what I'm supposed to be eating and I followed what Greg had for me, I went from 100 and probably about 85 down to 145, which is what I weighed in high school. And when I got down to 143, I thought something might be broken and I might just keep losing weight forever and just, be anorexic or something. So I got back on the junk food, and within 2 days, my weight picked up 5 pounds. And I went, okay, I do have control of this.
Right. Well, you can see the difference, between doing it right and doing it wrong. And I tell people, I've tried that too, by the way. I stopped the program just a few times in my illustrious past, and just because is this real? And I started to feel I needed that afternoon nap again. I wasn't lifting as much in the gym. I couldn't run as far as fast. It's upsetting me. I was going to say freaking me out. That's okay. We're in Santa Barbara. It was upsetting me. Honestly, I'm the worst patient. I want to be able to get up and go. Lydia and I have hiked, gone ghost town hunting, climb stuff. I mean, come on, this is life. When you're not working, you want to get out there and enjoy life, not sit there watching TV all day. I mean, it's not the way to live. And certainly to have enough energy. I had one guy, let's see, he had a heart attack at age 28. Okay, and I said, what do you think caused it? He goes, I don't know. And in working with him, I mean, he had a potassium deficiency that was off the bottom of the chart, which is very bad, because if there's one thing you don't want, it's potassium to fall off. It's probably got more to do with life quality and quantity than any other mineral, because it does about 2,300 things. And I said, my God, you're only 28. You know, your reserves are blown. I mean, you know, you're young and you have bone reserves and other things that can lend themselves to try to take up for the slack for a bad diet for a while. But you run out and then you really age and have problems. So in dealing with him, we found out he was having between 30 to 32 cups of coffee a day.
Whoa, what?
Oh, and I was I telling you about that, the heavy lady, right? Oh God, we had, oh gosh, back in with you, that was amazing. I had a real estate broker, multi-millionaire, had 12 agents. She probably wouldn't like you though, because you guys were doing what she did. Yeah, but it's okay. That's financial. She was over 600 pounds. 600, yeah. She was huge. And she never left the office. She just had everybody come to her house. She lived in a big house. And her back was killing her, and she was feeling like, so, you know, we worked her up. And, I mean, she wrote down what she was eating. And I said, what are you eating? You must be eating too much of something. And she wrote, and it looked like a great diet. It looked like it was like a health food diet. There's something missing. Well, you know what she was doing? That she didn't even consider was wrong. And this is the sad part, because she really was a well-meaning person. She just didn't know. She was having over 30 cans of Coca-Cola a day.
Oh.
She didn't think there were any calories. Oh, it's just liquid. It's just, nobody ever told her. So my first step was just to get her lesser of two evils, like I was saying in the back. Get her onto the Diet Coke, which has its own series of poisons in it, and then glean her off to green tea, which is to this day, and she hardly needed any, but she went down, you know, to 180.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, still a little heavy, but yeah.
Huge.
Yeah, that was the most that I've ever worked with, you know.
And you also mentioned to me some time back that as you were working with some of these people down around Malibu,
Yes.
you practically had to have police to watch them because they know
Diet
what they're
police.
supposed to do, but they're going to sneak back in there with the candy bars or whatever else, right?
That was the funniest thing. The diet police were born out of this idea. So of course somebody copied it. Yeah, movie stars have to get ready for a picture. You know, they have to race. They wreck their health all year, and they're on pills, and they're fat. You see some of the pictures in the National Enquirer. Come on, guys, money's not an object. Get me into shape. Well, part of it was they could move into the surf and sand motel across, right on the beach at Malibu. We were right behind it, and put them up in the West Wing. And we had to have them there as they, you know, we had the gym, we had the doctor, we had 15 doctors, and we did all the tests on all this kind of thing, and developed a whole lifestyle makeover, accelerated program, right? Because they never left enough time. Well, I gotta lose 60 pounds. I only have 2 months. I'm gonna be in this movie. Okay, you know, or Dolph Lundgren, you know, hey, I'm too skinny. You know, Stallone says I need to gain more weight. Oh, okay, we get 23 pounds on him without steroids, by the way. So I mean, they come in. Well, one of the things that we discovered, people there, was that these people needed to have guards, seriously, security, because they were sneaking drugs and they were paying, because the money's not an object. They could just pay people. So we had to have the diet police to guard them so that wouldn't happen. And they'd have to escort them around, honest to goodness. So, but here's the funniest thing. Of course, the diet police, you know, if it was a guy, it'd be a beautiful woman would be his guard. And if it was a guy, you'd have to be a real buff guy kind of thing. And everybody in that place looked like, they were all in shape. The doctors looked like, I mean, it was wonderful. It was incredible inspiration. So we surrounded them with the, you know, the right kind of attitude and the right environment, but they were still not to be trusted. So we had to guard them. But of course the police were damn good looking, those diet police. But you don't have diet police, you know, unless you watch each other. I know Maria's got some kind of stick.
I want you.
She's working on me.
Okay. So far she's only hit him over the head regarding the lobster, I think. So
But it's tough because we really have to be our own police.
yes. So I mean, if you want to, there is such a thing. They have these health coaches and other things. That, you know, I'm kind of your health coach if you get into this as best I can be. But some of these people, you know, will do things to try to keep you on track. And of course, if you have husbands and wives and families doing this, it's good to kind of work with each other. We have some people back in Maryland that the whole family kind of works together on it, and they all challenge themselves. That's kind of cool. They always get better results that way. So, you know, it's good to have people around you doing it because, you know, it might be different though. That's the only thing, you know, the shopping list might have to change because mom needs certain things that dad shouldn't need, vice versa. And, you know, so it might be, somebody might have a different vegetable as a side or something like that. But, you know, there was a lot of commonality in your reports. I mean, you had a lot of similarities.
Made it very easy for us.
So, yeah. So that's just, you know, but you don't know till you know. You got to take the test to know. And otherwise, you're just shooting in the breeze there. You're
Driving
just
to New York with blindfolds on.
blindfolded. And, you know, nobody's gonna tell you the truth like a test will. You know, how do you know what grades you're gonna get in class without a test? How you gonna know how high your cholesterol without a test? Right? You gotta, I'm sorry. And again, in the world of tests, they can confuse you. 3,000 tests, where do you start? Well, everybody agrees. Gotta start here. This lab is what you guys are. You know, they were at the fundamental point of starting a new generation of a way to manage your health, just like you guys are to manage your health. Same idea, they jumped on it, they set the standard for everybody else, and so they're numero uno in the world.
It's actually a stress reliever because you're not walking around going, well, what should I be doing?
Yes.
You know.
Right. Would you like to know that this is bad? I mean, you know sugar, salt, some spices, not enough, I mean, generic things. You know that probably it's better to have some more veggies in the diet and less processed. I mean, there's a lot of generic things, but you got to get even more specific than that. You can have lobster, she can't. Lobster to her is going to hurt.
Actually, she's back on lobster with
I'm
the
back
last
on
thing,
lobster
so we're
now.
going out to dinner.
Oh, well, the new
And I take less supplements than him too. Just
Yes,
wanted
you
to know
actually
that.
did better, that's
I
right.
did, yeah.
She did better. We've already got, you know, your number. No,
My number.
What I want to know is, we eat popcorn, like for dinner sometimes, and
just try to get the clean, you know, don't use the,
we
you
eat
know.
organic,
Yeah,
but, you know.
and dry pop.
Yeah, we're not doing that yet.
Dry
so
pop
I think
it,
that's.
not
what-
oils.
See, I mean, all this stuff you'll learn too. I mean, we're out to make sure that even the generic food, you know how to choose it, like paleo.
If it says on there, don't eat corn, then we probably shouldn't be eating popcorn,
But it doesn't say
Yeah,
don't
but it
eat
doesn't say
corn.
don't eat corn.
Okay,
Corn chips, I think.
Corn chips, no,
Yeah.
because of the salt more than the corn.
Is it? Yeah.
salt.
Yeah.
And then you
less
put it on
salt.
the popcorn that you have.
Then we put the salt in the, okay, we'll keep that.
Less salt.
And well, people like the salt, they're hooked on the salt. And yes,
There's a book, I'm trying to remember the name of it, The Hidden Ninja, it's Hidden Assassin, that's all the stuff that's in processed food.
Oh,
You
yes.
should read it, it's an eye opener.
It scares me. It really annoys me too, because, you know, unfortunately, you know, we're kind of victims of our environment, and our environment's manipulated in such a way that nobody wants to take accountability for what happens to us. So nobody wants to be responsible for you. So where does that leave you? You got to be responsible for yourself, and you've got to know what's in that book. Like I was saying earlier, there's like 400 toxins out there. Not to mention all this new stuff showing up. Remember the, you know, the Kobayashi? Did I say that right? The nuclear fallout in Japan hitting the coast. We have all these people with uranium now in their systems. You know, the EPA put out a bulletin. Now it's about 8 years ago, talking about contaminated soil in the San Joaquin Valley. Well, we had people with tests and their uranium was up. They actually took some soil out in Nevada that was tainted, and they accidentally mixed it in with their soil in the San Joaquin Valley. You know, all of a sudden we had a bunch of people with high uranium. And so the lab's, you know, the lab works with 30 government agencies, but Atomic Energy Commission, right? They also work with the Tennessee Valley Authority. This lab, I mean, this is huge. I mean, it's unbelievable. You guys, this is the real thing. But you have so many commercials trying to talk you into taking drugs or take this vitamin or go on this diet, right? And that's the problem. It's hard for science to break through. Even for cars in this country years ago, we could have added a fifth gear, an overdrive to cars long before we did. That would have increased gas mileage, but the oil companies wanted to make more, the car companies wanted the car to fall apart faster. I mean, it's the same with your health. It's planned obsolescence. I gotta tell you, that's all it is, once removed. But here's the serious consequence. It's one thing if your car breaks down, you can replace that. You can't do the same with your body. And you can't rely on, you know, watching the $6 million man for, you know, fantasies of being, you know, rebuilt in the future, because although they're trying to replace things that break down, still people, and that's a good thing, we want all of the best of medicine, trust me. But we want to discover, why did that happen in the first place, and fix it so it doesn't happen again, or at least stabilize it so it doesn't get worse if possible. And most people don't even do that. I mean, people keep on getting cancer, they get chemo, then it comes back. Cancer, I mean, what started in the first place? What keeps it going? You know, osteoporosis, boy, osteoporosis is happening all over the place. What's causing it? Well, too much, you know, everybody's taking calcium pills, right? And, oh, this is the thing, oh gosh, I hope I don't get in trouble. Dr. Oz talked about doing vitamin D tests with Oprah, right? Am I off camera?
You're
Oh,
still
no,
on camera
oh,
and
it's
probably-
rolling.
Okay, it's okay,
But-
but it's true, because I'm just repeating it.
You can talk to them about that back there when we shut the
I
camera
will,
off.
okay. Well, let's just tell you that a lot of people taking vitamin D don't realize that vitamin D slows your thyroid down. Well, that's okay. That's okay, because guess what? Now you can take thyroid hormone, right? You see, it's an open door for the next drug. Then when you take in more thyroid hormone, you deplete other nutrients that then will cause adrenal shutdown, and then it will cause digestive, I mean, it goes around in a circle. It's almost like you can map out how to make it, in fact, you could, how to make a person sick just by giving them too much of one thing or another in megadoses. And calcium's probably, and vitamin D are the most megadosed substances. I actually had a gal, she's been on the program for years, and she has medical doctor, she changed medical doctor, doctor said, you gotta do a vitamin D test, D. She says, all right, I'll do a vitamin D test. I know Dr. Tefft likes data. So I like tests of any kind. But I want the right test to fix your nutrition, obviously. And I love standard tests too, because you can find things. So she came in, and she sent me the test, and she says, oh my gosh, the vitamin D is on the low side in my blood. I said, doesn't mean anything. According to your hair test, you're using it up faster. That's why it's a little lower in blood. But it's still, some people can be, like some people can have lower cholesterol, higher cholesterol, and still never get a heart attack. Other people can have more or less vitamin D. According to our test, it's okay. It's in a good place. Don't worry. It's not off the bottom. It's just a little bit on the low side. She goes, but he gave me all this vitamin D to take. I said, well, you know, all I can do is tell you what I know and what the test says. And I would probably shy away from it. Okay? And she says, okay, I won't do it. Then about 3 weeks later, she calls up and she's in a panic. She says, you know what? She goes, I did a bad thing. She goes, I started taking vitamin D. She goes, and she goes, I don't know what else it could be because it just came from the doctor. My eyes are bloodshot. They're bloodshot. I go, really? So I go, do you know what the #1 cause of bloodshot eyes is? Now, she already told me that she didn't have conjunctivitis or anything else like that. She'd been checked out from vitamin D overdose. Doctor never figured it out until I said it. She told the doctor, and he says, okay, don't take it. I'm sorry. This happens, and it wasn't much. It was maybe 5,000 IUs. You know, and that's what people are hoping. The lethal dose, the effective dose of a nutrient is much broader than the lethal dose. In other words, with a drug, you have a range of effectivity before it becomes lethal that's very short. So in other words, something you can take that helps you can hurt you very quickly and cause. That's why every commercial you see has all these side effect complications that they talk about. With vitamins, you get away with more, but the problem is people are pushing it so far. They're pushing the envelope over such a long period of time that they're actually ending up doing more harm than good, like the Haynes study said. And so we want to sort that out. We want you to take only what you need. It shouldn't be a fortune to take care of your health. It should be easy to achieve. It's not fair to us that we're captive audience of the healthcare profession as we are when our best interests are not at hand. They're not first and foremost as they should be. You know? So what do? Okay, you take the best of the best and acknowledge the worst. And you cut to the chase and be a better doctor to yourself. Pick from what you can pick, from the environment, from what you do, from what you eat, from what you wear, from what you drive, from all the things that are part of your lifestyle. You pick and choose the ones that are going to help you the most. And we have a chemical equation right in the middle that tells us, you know what, is your mercury and your filling coming out? I had a fellow that had no mercury. All of a sudden, he's in for upstate New York. And, I think it was Pennsylvania, sorry. He had no mercury in his system. All of a sudden, the mercury went right off the top. I go, oh, what's going on? This thing, your programmer's doing great. You got all this mercury. What are you doing that's different? Did you go out and have some dental work, or did you have a vaccine of some sort? Because sometimes they have, Thyroid or Dimosol, that's mercury, right? Even in some meds. Ayurvedic medication, got to watch out. And a lot of Chinese stuff is tainted. I mean, it's pretty tricky. So he says, well, let me think. He says, the only thing that I did different, I think, is I bought a bunch of fish. He says, I have a freezer full of fish. I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I got this fish at a discount. It's from Lake Erie. He lives right near Lake Erie. And I said, how long you been doing? Well, about 3 months now. And I said, you know what? Let's be sure about this. Maybe it's the fish, but maybe you can check it. And EPA has a place, I think it's York, Pennsylvania. He drove down to York. The EPA has a place that will test food or fish or anything. Well, And they tested, it was the highest mercury level they'd seen in a long time. And that's where it came from. So he got his money back, and he's not going to buy any more perch from Lake Erie. Because even though Lake Erie's cleaner than it used to be. So, but you know, the Great Lakes, everything's getting polluted, so who knows what the heck is what. They're finding pesticides in, you know, the North and the South Poles. You know, there's all kinds of fertilizer residue that's real nasty, you know, designed to kill bugs with arsenic and other stuff all over the place, yes.
But if you're keeping like, you know, up with the tests and you can see what kind of stuff is going on with your body, you
Take
can,
control.
yeah, you can take control and you can, you know, balance it out.
Our
So
goal, do you remember in the old days, well, you don't, because you're not old enough. Your dad and your mom do, and most people here do, okay? Remember when it was like, great, not to have to go to the doctor? Hey, the doctor was only there, everything you were doing wrong fell apart. Now people take, I go to parties, people go, oh yeah, I see my doctor says this and that, and I go, you're on how many meds? How can you be proud of this? I don't think he's giving you the right advice if you're getting, you know, need medications to get by. Now, the worst case of meds I've ever seen was a 9-year-old lady in the office, 9-year-old young lady. A 9-year-old, she was on 11 meds already. 11 meds at 9 years old. That's not right. I've got people that are oh so medicated, just like that cartoon says. They're giving them drugs to take care of the side effect complications of the first. I mean, that's not living. That's not changing the way your body works for the better. It's just throwing a bunch of thoughts in, throwing it at the wall and see if it'll stick kind of and keep you happy for the minute until the next crisis comes around. And then guess what? When it all falls apart, hey, that's when we can really get you for the big money. I don't want that to happen to you. I'm on a mission. This is more than just, you know, something we do. Lenny will tell you. This has been our passion because we just think that society isn't quite aware yet of all the potentials that we have here. So we have to go out and make them more aware. We have to go person by person, and eventually it'll catch up with itself. The problem is the amount of human suffering between when this thing becomes conventional and now and before is huge. Right? Let thy food be thy remedy. I mean, that should be the real, a real doctor would say, okay. And even if you're in a Chinese, you know, I don't know, ancient Chinese medicine, I don't know if anybody knows about this, but in China, they work with you from birth to death. In fact, the doctor in the village would work with each family, and they're only paid when you're well. They're only were given the 3 eggs a month for the kid, and you know 4 for mom, and whatever they were giving you, or you know a certain amount of time cleaning up your property. In ancient China, the Chinese medical system is very fascinating, and they had constitutional types, and you know the yin and yang, and they really tried to match things up that we can test now, you know, perfectly. But what was interesting was the doctor didn't get paid if you died, so he was paid to get you well. Now they're not. Plus, if the patient didn't do the right thing, everybody would be down on them. It's the opposite now. Nobody cares. No accountability. Doctor's not necessarily rooting for it. Doesn't even have time to talk to you. They have nurses and physician's assistants now. And then even with the world of nutrition, most people are trying to push products and one size fits all when they should be pushing the test. And granted, you know, it'll catch up to itself because the whole thing's falling apart. You've heard it from me. You've heard it from a lot of places. You've seen it in your own life. But the reality is that you know, one by one, we've got to turn people around. And, you know, just in Dan and Maria doing this, you guys now know about it. And then hopefully you guys will do this. And then you'll tell other people. I mean, what else can we do? Because we don't have a commercial yet. And if we did, we'd probably be attacked by some drug. Who knows why? But you know, those strange rates. I mean, gosh, poor Dr. Hoffer went to Canada. He didn't want to stay in this country. He says, I'm treating schizophrenia without drugs. Why doesn't anybody want to know about it? Why do they hate me so much? Well, because you're not fitting in with the rest of the bums. I don't want to go.
When you're talking with people back there, are you going downstairs a little bit?
Sure, I'd love to if you guys will have it.
Yeah, we're going to head down for food after all this.
Thank you, yes.
And, oh, you got another
Do
question?
they use food-derived vitamins?
Yes, from New Zealand, actually, sourcing. They found they can't use synthetic, they have to go for the real thing to get it to work right. Because remember, it's biocorrective, the vitamins are designed to fix you. And they're counting on it because they're going to remeasure you, as Marie and Dan found out. They change your vitamins, you notice? They change your because they have to. But they're counting on you taking it, just like a doctor counts on you taking a pill to lower your cholesterol. They're counting on you to take a certain amount of B6 and her a certain amount of B1 and combine with everything else to be able to evaluate what's going on. So they have to control it. You see what I'm saying? As best they can. So they have to mix and match. They can't make it all into a powder. They can't make it a liquid. And so they have to just make these little tiny pills. They're super small, very concentrated. And the pills themselves accelerate results by 10 to 30 times more than food alone. So things happen fast. Like we were telling, Letty was saying before, we clean stuff up very rapidly. Because this is America. We can't take forever to get your results. So most people feel the difference faster. And the idea is in the beginning, you got to hit it harder. But as your body starts to line up, it takes less and less vitamins, less pickiness about certain foods, and certainly less testing too. So it all works in your behalf, and you reward yourself by doing the right thing. And the people that we have the most trouble with are really people that don't try hard. Well, I'm taking the pills. Yeah, what did you eat? Well, I only had pizza 5 nights this week. You got to put it together. So you become your own, boss. You're the boss of your destiny. You're in control. And but at least you know. At least you know. So if you were sitting here and your test says don't eat this and you still eat it, you hopefully won't get mad at me. I've had a couple of people say, this program's not working. And then when I start talking to them, you're not doing anything right.
Oh.
And I said, well, no, it's not that the program's not working for you. It's you're not working the program. I mean, you could probably say that about your real estate program.
That's why I've got Maria, wherever she is, but she's helping me, as
She
a
ran out a
nurse,
second
she's
ago.
like ninja, right on there.
Yeah,
Thanks to Maria.
Yes. So any other, anything, hit me with anything you want while I'm here. Go ahead, you have a question?
The salt, like we only use like Himalaya salt, or
Yeah.
black, or red salt, and I think it's a different quality to it when you have it with minerals.
I think so. Absolutely like the Dead Sea salt, better Himalayan salt. It's better than the conventional. Yeah. Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Now, he had the right idea about minerals, but he didn't test it. That's his only mistake. Oh yeah. So I mean, actually, he's in my group. I mentioned it, but you just can't dump a bunch of minerals into your system without, sorting them out in certain proportions. You have to kind of synergize them properly, because some you'll take one of each, but you might retain more of some than others, and that's the little secret to get the ones that your body uses up the fastest back in you, and take away the ones that build up in it, and that's the real secret. And of course, everything else follows from that. So that's the only flaw. But he never did the nutrition testing in his life, so he wouldn't know that, because he's not specialized in this.
He said Einstein died of iron deficiency because his hair was all white. That's how he died. Not having iron.
White hair?
Causes the break.
Iron, there's a few things I do with white hair, yeah. So Dan, no.
Yeah. Definitely. Greg, I just want to thank you very, very much. I'd like to give people an opportunity back there for you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Oh, I'm looking forward to spending many years knowing you and working with you.
Likewise.
Thank you so much. Okay. So please, if you got any other questions, come over here back with Greg and Lindy and ask them some more questions, talk with them. We'll be heading downstairs for a little bit of food or whatever, just kind of hang out, do a little bit more networking. Next month, we'll be back here on the 7th, which is not very far away. It's only a couple of weeks. And we'll be dealing with land trust.
Oh, thank you. Good to see you. I love it.
Randy Hughes. Thank you, Michael. It was good.